My name is Kara Finley, 31, interior designer in Santa Fe. Last Thanksgiving, I walked into my parents' dining room after a 70-hour week, 3 hotel contracts on my desk, and our family art supply store bleeding cash. Dad didn't even look up. You missed the acrylic inventory update. Sawyer swept in, glowing from a $3,000 spa weekend mom and dad's gift. Dad grinned. How is the facial princess? I snapped. So I work while she enjoys. Why is that? Dad locked eyes with me. Your job is to work while your sister enjoys life. Simple as that. If you don't like it, there's the door. I pushed my chair back. Fine. I'll leave, and you can start paying your own bills. Simple as that. Before I tell you what happened next, drop a comment with the city and state you're watching from. Let me know where this hits you. The real storm started long before that table. Growing up in Santa Fe's dusty art district, the favoritism was baked in before I even understood the word. At 11, I joined the New Mexico Young Designers Challenge run by the state AIA chapter kids, submitted scaled floor plans for a community arts center using only recycled materials. My entry won regional honors and got displayed at the Roundhouse in Santa Fe for a month. I rushed home with the certificate, expecting at least a family photo. Dad skimmed it, set it on the counter, and said, "Good. Now finish restocking the watercolor pads before dinner." 3 months later, my sister Sawyer, Finley 8 at the time, scribbled a finger paint sunset on butcher paper during art class. The teacher sent it to Mom, who framed it and hung copies in both store locations. That night, we piled into the SUV for enchiladas at our favorite Mexican spot. On Cerrillos Road, Sawyer got a new iPad loaded with drawing apps. I got extra chores for distracting the staff with my excitement. Chores became my second language early. By 12, I was restocking acrylic tubes before school, scrubbing dried paint off pallets after dinner, and hauling trash bags heavier than I was to the alley dumpster. Dad's reasoning never changed. Sawyer was busy with her art. If a brush needed cleaning or a shipment of canvases arrived, it fell to me. I learned to balance a ladder while touching up the store's exterior mural skills no kid should need. Sawyer's contributions, occasional doodles on scrap paper that Mom laminated and sold as postcards. Customers cooped over her natural talent, buying 3 at a time. I watched the register ring while my own sketches gathered dust in a drawer. Our bedrooms told the same story. The house sat behind the main store, a low adobe with creaky pine floors. When we outgrew sharing, Dad converted the old storage shed into my space. Bare bulb cracked concrete shelves of forgotten sketch pads. Sawyer claimed the upstairs corner room with the big arched window overlooking the cottonwoods. Mom installed a drafting table, track lighting, and a lock to protect her supplies. I got a futon and a milk crate nightstand. Weekends meant more hours at the register. At 14, I started running the weekend cashier shift alone, counting change, wrapping fragile brushes, answering endless questions about oil versus watercolor. Tips went straight into a jar labeled college. Dad praised my reliability in front of customers, then handed Sawyer a $100 bill for new markers. She spent it on glitter pens that dried out within a week. The pattern hardened like oil paint. I organized the annual sidewalk sale, designed window displays that doubled foot traffic, and taught myself inventory software on a secondhand laptop. Sawyer floated through, occasionally rearranging a shelf for inspiration, then vanishing to sketch at the plaza. Relatives noticed. Aunt Violet once muttered, "That girl's got 2 left feet and a silver spoon." Mom shushed her quickly. By high school, the store's back room became my second home. I redesigned the layout to fit more easels, negotiated with suppliers for bulk discounts, and created a loyalty program that boosted repeat customers 30%. Dad called it good practice. Sawyer's report cards arrived with C's in math, but her charcoal portraits earned blue ribbons at the state fair. Each win meant another family outing, green chili cheeseburgers, bowling, whatever she wanted. I internalized the message early. My value came from what I produced, hers from what she dreamed. The jar grew heavier, but so did the weight on my shoulders. High school only widened the divide in ways I couldn't ignore anymore. I juggled 2 part-time jobs around a full high school schedule to fund my dream of studying interior design at Savannah College of Art and Design. Afternoons meant catering private events in the foothills after last period, balancing trays of werves while reviewing floor plans on my phone during breaks. Evenings brought delivery runs for the store 3 nights a week, navigating Santa Fe's narrow streets with boxes of spray paint and gesso rattling in the trunk. Every dollar earned went toward application fees, portfolio prints, and the growing stack of acceptance letters I hoped would change everything. Every dollar earned went toward application fees, portfolio prints, and the growing stack of acceptance letters I hoped would change everything. Sawyer, meanwhile, coasted through classes with minimal effort. Her junior year, Mom and Dad announced a surprise: a full year studying painting in Florence, Italy. All expenses covered, plus a shiny red Vespa for getting around the cobblestone alleys. They framed it as essential for her artistic growth. I calculated the cost in my head: tuition, housing, flight, scooter insurance, and felt the numbers burn. My own SCAD deposit required another summer of double shifts. The pop-up gallery came next. Sawyer returned from Europe, buzzing with ideas for a temporary exhibition space downtown. Dad saw potential where I saw risk. They remortgaged the house to secure a 6-month lease on a prime Canyon Road spot complete with custom lighting and imported display cases. Opening night drew crowds sipping wine and praising Sawyer's abstract oils. Sales trickled in at first, then stopped entirely. Suppliers demanded payment for frames and stretchers. After 6 months, the doors closed with $20,000 in losses. Dad shrugged it off as a learning curve. I discovered the remortgage paperwork while organizing files for tax season. The new monthly payment had jumped $800. Mom explained they needed the equity to give Sawyer a real shot. My student loans loomed at $30,000 already, interest accruing faster than I could pay. Still, I started wiring $1,800 home each month from my freelance gigs, helping cover the increased mortgage while chipping away at my own debt. College acceptances arrived during senior year. SCAD offered a partial scholarship, but the gap remained massive. I worked graduation weekend serving cake at a classmate's party instead of attending mine. Dad sent a text: "Proud of you for being responsible." Sawyer posted photos from a post-graduation trip to TA captioned with paintbrush emojis. At SCAD, I lived in a cramped dorm, sketching until dawn and interning at local firms for credit. Sawyer enrolled in community college back home, dropping most classes after the first withdrawal deadline. Mom called it exploring options. The store's profits dipped as online competitors undercut prices, but Dad kept funneling money into Sawyer's latest scheme, a line of hand-painted scarves that never made it past prototypes. My senior thesis earned top honors: a sustainable gallery redesign using reclaimed materials from abandoned Adobe buildings. Professors connected me with Atlanta firms. I graduated with honors, $45,000 in total debt, and a job offer starting at $52,000 a year. Sawyer celebrated my commencement by announcing her engagement to a photographer she met at a workshop. Mom immediately offered to host the party at the store after hours. The monthly transfers continued. I rationalized it as investing in family stability, even as my own savings account stayed empty. Dad's emails grew shorter, always ending with updates on Sawyer's wedding plans. I designed the invitation suite for free sourcing paper from our overstock. The ceremony cost $15,000 charged to the business account I helped balance. Fast forward to last Thanksgiving, and the resentment had calcified into something explosive. I had pulled an all-nighter redesigning the main showroom for the holiday rush. New modular displays for premium oil sets, LED strips highlighting limited edition pastels, and a traffic flow that could handle Black Friday crowds without bottlenecking the register. On top of that, I finalized 3 hotel renderings for a client in Albuquerque, lobby concepts blending southwestern textiles with modern minimalism. Each revision emailed at 2:30 in the morning. By the time I showered and drove to my parents' house, exhaustion sat heavy behind my eyes, but the turkey smelled promising. Dad met me at the door, carrying a platter of delied eggs. "You're late." The new acrylic shipment came in yesterday. Still no inventory update. His tone carried the same edge it always did when the store took priority over everything else. I bit back a response and headed to the dining room where Mom arranged cranberry sauce in crystal bowls. Sawyer arrived fashionably late, sweeping through the kitchen in a camel coat that screamed designer. She dropped a glossy shopping bag on the counter and pulled out a Hermes Kelly bag in pristine white leather. "Look what Mom and Dad surprised me with after my Sedona spa weekend," she announced, holding it up like a trophy. The spa had been $3,000 massages, facials, yoga, overlooking Red Rocks, all charged to the family credit card as an early birthday treat. Mom beamed. Your sister needed a proper reward after closing that big influencer deal. Sawyer's deal was a sponsored post for a local crystal shop that barely covered her gas. I set down the green bean casserole and felt the words rise before I could stop them. Let me get this straight, I said, voice steady despite the pulse in my temples. I redesigned the entire showroom, manage supplier delays, and close 6-figure hotel contracts while Sawyer gets a luxury bag and a spa retreat for posting pictures. Dad set his fork down with deliberate force. Your job is to work while your sister enjoys life. Simple as that. If you don't like it, there's the door. The room went still. Mom's hand froze halfway to the gravy boat. Sawyer smirked behind her wine glass. Something inside me snapped clean. Door's that way, I replied, pushing my chair back with a scrape that echoed off the adobe walls. I'm taking it. I grabbed my keys from the hook by the fridge. The same hook where Sawyer's childhood artwork still hung laminated. Mom's voice cracked behind me. Kara! Honey, sit down. We're grateful. Really? Tears welled, but they felt performative, the same ones she used when Sawyer missed curfew. Sawyer rolled her eyes and muttered something about drama queens. Dad stood face reening. After everything we've done for you, his words chased me down the hallway, but I was already at the front door, boots crunching over fallen pine needles from the porch wreath. The cold November air hit my face as I slid into my car engine, turning over with a roar that drowned out Mom's final plea. I drove the 20 minutes to Drake Owen's apartment on the south side, hands gripping the wheel until my knuckles whitened. Drake, my boyfriend of 2 years, opened the door in sweats and concern. He didn't ask questions, just pulled me inside, handed me a mug of chamomile, and let the silence settle until I was ready to speak. The turkey went cold on their table. I didn't look back. 2 days later, the fallout began in earnest. I woke to an email from the bank's loan servicing department, a formal notice of intent to foreclose if the past due mortgage payments weren't brought current within 30 days. The attached PDF detailed 3 missed installments totaling over $5,000 plus late fees. Dad had never mentioned falling behind, but the remortgage from Sawyer's failed gallery had stretched their budget to breaking. I forwarded the notice to my personal folder without replying, then blocked the store's accounting software access from my laptop. By the end of the first week, the store lost its annual contract with the Santa Fe Public Schools art program. The district buyer called me directly, since I had always handled invoicing, explaining that without updated purchase orders and proof of inventory, they couldn't renew for the spring semester. The deal was worth $12,000 in bulk watercolor sets and easels. Dad left a voicemail blaming supply chain issues, but the real problem was the stack of unpaid vendor bills piling up on his desk. Sawyer's Instagram influencer gigs dried up almost overnight. Her last sponsored post for a boutique candle maker garnered fewer than 500 likes, and the brand pulled out of a planned collaboration. With no income and rent due on her loft downtown, she packed designer suitcases into her leased SUV and moved back into the basement. Mom texted a photo of Sawyer's old twin bed made up with fresh linens, captioned with a heart emoji. I left it on read. The phone call started that same afternoon and didn't stop for weeks. 47 in total, according to my call log. Dad's first voicemail came at 8:30 in the morning. You think walking out fixes anything? Get back here and straighten the books before we lose everything. His voice rose with each sentence ending with a slammed receiver. Mom followed an hour later, her message softer but laced with guilt. My lower back is acting up again. Can't lift the heavy shipment boxes without you. Please call. Sawyer waited until evening. Hey sis, things are tight, but I have this idea for a pop-up paint and sip night. Need $10,000 to secure the venue and supplies. You're good with numbers. Wire it over, and I'll pay you back with interest once it takes off. I deleted the voice note and added her number to the block list temporarily. Drake watched the notifications pile up while we cooked pasta in his kitchen. He suggested changing my ringtone to silent, but I kept it on vibrate, just enough to feel the vibration against my thigh like a persistent headache. Dad escalated to texts, screenshots of overdue utility bills, a photo of the empty register drawer. Mom sent links to articles about adult children abandoning aging parents. Sawyer tried Drake's phone next, leaving a breezy message about family investors and how I was overreacting. 3 weeks in the stores. Main supplier placed them on credit hold. No more shipments of golden artist colors or Frederick's canvases until the outstanding balance of $9,000 cleared. Dad called the bank about a short-term loan and got denied. His credit score had dipped below 600 after the gallery fiasco. He left another voicemail. This one quieter. The lights stay on because of your spreadsheets. Come fix this. Mom scheduled a doctor's appointment for her back, texting me the confirmation as proof. The diagnosis, degenerative disc disease, manageable with physical therapy she couldn't afford without insurance copays. Sawyer posted a story from the basement, filtered lighting, paint splattered overalls, caption, reading back to basics. Comments from old high school friends asked if the store was hiring. I spent evenings with Drake reviewing my own finances, emergency fund, intact hotel projects on track. The silence from my end spoke louder than any argument. A month into the silence, Aunt Violet showed up unannounced. She flew in from Tucson on a Southwest red-eye rental car, keys still in hand when she knocked on my apartment door mid-morning. Aunt Violet, Mom's older sister by 5 years, carried a manila envelope thick with IRS letterhead. We settled at my kitchen table with coffee, and she slid the documents across the wood grain without preamble. The notice detailed a $50,000 deficiency from the gallery venture 3 years prior. Dad had inflated deductions for framing materials, venue rentals, and marketing, claiming business expenses that never materialized into revenue. The audit flagged discrepancies between reported losses and actual bank deposits, triggering penalties plus interest. Aunt Violet explained she received a courtesy copy because Mom listed her as a secondary contact on old tax returns. They're drowning, she said, tapping the final page. Bank statements show the mortgage eating 80% of store income. Without your monthly transfers, they're 2 payments from default. That afternoon, Dad called from the store landline, first time in weeks. His voice cracked through the speaker. Violet told us she's seeing you. We're not asking for money. Just come back for 1 month. Fix the books. Get us through tax season. The accountant we hired botched everything. Mom joined on speaker. Her breathing labored. Your aunt agrees it's temporary. We'll pay you consultant rates once cash flow stabilizes. Sawyer chimed in from the background, suggesting I could work remotely a few hours a week. Their pleas layered like overlapping brush strokes, each one covering the last. I listened until they ran out of words, then ended the call with a simple no. Drake watched from the doorway, arms crossed, saying nothing until the line went dead. That evening, I drafted an email from my professional account subject line, formal notice of financial separation. The body outlined termination of all monetary support, revocation of access to shared accounts, and a request for no further contact regarding business matters. I attached a PDF of the bank notice for reference and hit send to Dad, Mom, and the store's general inbox. Sawyer tried Drake's number next, leaving a voicemail about partnering on a new online course for watercolor techniques. He played it on speaker while we ate takeout burritos, then deleted it without response. Aunt Violet stayed for dinner, sharing stories of Mom's own failed craft fair attempts and the 8S patterns I recognized all too well. Before leaving for her hotel, she hugged me tight. You're not the family ATM. They'll figure it out or they won't. I walked her to the elevator, envelope tucked under my arm like evidence. The next morning, I changed my phone plan to a new number forwarding only work contacts. Dad's final text arrived before the switch. A photo of the empty invoice drawer with the caption, "This is on you." I blocked the thread and powered off the old SIM. Peace settled in layers. First, the quiet notifications, then the mental space to focus on upcoming hotel deadlines. 6 months passed in a blur of progress and finality. I closed on a 2-bedroom condo downtown, 3 blocks from the historic plaza, high adobe ceilings, a corner cob fireplace, and a private balcony framing the Sangre Dito peaks. The purchase price hit $425,000, well within my new budget. After the resort contract, my firm secured the full interior redesign for El Monte Sagrad, a 5-star property in TA 40 guest suites demanding hand-woven Zapach rugs, reclaimed pinion beams, and custom turquoise inlaid vanities. The scope pushed my annual salary from $92,000 to $129,000 with performance bonuses tied to lead certification milestones. Drake helped unload the final moving box, then dropped to one knee on the bare oak floor, sliding a ring, He sketched himself white gold with a single New Mexico turquoise stone. Dad and Mom liquidated the art supply store to a regional franchise out of Albuquerque. The buyer assumed the inventory at 60 cents on the dollar, yielding just enough to clear the IRS lien and avoid garnishment. After fees, they walked away with $4,300 in pocket change. They relocated to a one-bedroom unit near the Rylard, 800 square foot thin walls, but rent capped at $150 a month. Dad, 62, and counting, accepted a night shift route with FedEx ground scanning and loading packages from 1,000 p.m. to 6 a.m. at $2,150 an hour. Health insurance kicked in after 90 days, something the store never offered. Mom claimed a permit on Canyon Road every Saturday and Sunday. She propped a folding easel against the adobe wall displaying 8 by 10 watercolors of adobe doorways and chili restauras. Tourist traffic brought $60 to $120 on strong weekends, enough for groceries and the occasional prescription koi. She texted a photo of her first $50 sale, a sunset over the amends, but the message returned undeliverable. Sawyer clocked in at Hobby Lobby on Cerrillos Road, starting as a cashier at $13.25 an hour. After 2 months of perfect attendance, the framing manager moved her to custom orders, measuring matting and assembling shadow boxes for sports memorabilia. The employee discount shaved 15% off acrylic sheets and pre-cut mats, letting her experiment with personal projects. After closing, she enrolled in one evening class at Santa Fe Community College, paying tuition from her own paycheck. Her Instagram evolved into raw behind-the-scenes clips, cutting glass, mixing custom tints, narrating mistakes. Followers climbed past 3,000. Drawn to the unfiltered grind, I severed every remaining tether deleted. The family Dropbox removed myself from the store's vendor portal and changed my mailing address at the post office. The final communication traveled certified mail return receipt requested. I typed a single page on firm letterhead. Love isn't one-way labor. I wish you growth, but from a distance. This is permanent. The green card came back signed by Mom 3 days later. I filed it and never looked again. Drake, and I hosted a housewarming on the new balcony string lights. Green chili stew colleagues from the resort toasting with local gruet sparkling. My portfolio now included commercial lobbies in Albuquerque and a boutique hotel in Denver. Travel plans replaced emergency transfers Santa Barbara and Spring, Portugal next winter. The mental bandwidth, once consumed by supplier invoices, now fueled mood boards and material samples. Some doors closed to open entire worlds. I didn't abandon them. I stopped paying the price for their mistakes. Dad learns punctuality under fluorescent warehouse lights. Mom discovers market value in her own brush strokes. Sawyer builds competence, one precise cut at a time. Consequences teach what indulgence never could. Thank you for staying with me to the end of the story. If it hit home, drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done at that Thanksgiving table? Your take matters.